All right. Okay, we're setting up the oh, obviously we're struggling. Okay. We are here and we are going to discuss today is going to be about home inspections and surveys in Florida and what is required and what's not. So, the big question I have is, do I have to get a home inspection and is it required? And the answer is simply no. You don't have to get one and it's not required. But there are going to be some things that are going to be required. So, a home inspection is for you, the buyer, and for nobody else. Yes, you've gone through the property when you saw it and you were making an offer, but this is the ability to look at everything and make sure that you are comfortable moving forward with the decision to purchase that property. So, things that are going to be covered in a home inspection that you may not have seen when you were doing the looking at it when you were looking at the property to begin with is they are going to test every single outlet in the house. They're going to make sure that they're working. They're going to do things like turn on the oven, make sure that the oven is working and getting to the right temperature. All the burners, they're going to make sure all the faucets are getting turned on and that the hot water is hot water and the cold water is cold water and that they are not reversed. So those are things that you were not looking at when you were looking when you went through the house thinking that you wanted to purchase it, but they are going to test everything inside the home. And then they're going to give you a report that's going to let you know what is or isn't working and what is possibly close to the end of its life. Now, it's not going to give you estimates on what is it going to cost if you wanted to replace the AC. That you'll have to get a separate quote for, but at least it will let you know if the AC is in good working order or if maybe it's just got a few years left in it, because that information is going to be used in your negotiation if you're going to stay in the contract, or if you're like, you know what, it's going to cost more than I thought. They're not going to give me anything to help with the items that need to be replaced or repaired. And so, therefore, maybe I'm going to back out. And so, while it is not required that you have a home inspection, your lender doesn't require it, nobody requires it. I always recommend that you do get a home inspection. Now, other things that you're going to want to inspect that are not covered inside of the home inspection is it will be things like if there is a septic tank or two on the property, you should get a septic inspection. Now, if the septic was just pumped, maybe you're comfortable moving forward without one, but you definitely want to get a septic inspection. Now, what you'll do is you'll call a company, they'll come out there, they'll dig it up and or open it up and find out, is everything in working order? Is everything good? They will pump it out because that's the only way that you're going to be able to look at it. What does that cost? It's going to depend on a number of things like how many septic tanks do you have? How deep are they buried? And so the deeper they have to go, then the more it's going to cost. So you want to get a septic inspection done if you are going to buy a property with a septic tank there. Some people choose to get a radon test done as well, especially if you're moving to Florida and you don't know anything about radon. It's a naturally occurring gas, but that's going to be an extra cost. If this is an older home and you want to test for lead-based paint, yes, you can test for lead-based paint. If you want to have people come in and give you quotes for like a roof or a water heater or HVAC or plumbing, you are welcome to have all of those done as well. Now, who pays for this? You, the buyer, pay for this. Florida is a buyer beware state. So Florida says if you, the buyer, want to get anything inspected, if you want to know more about something, then you can do whatever you want during the inspection period as long as you are paying for it. The seller is not obligated to pay for any of those inspections. Now, some people get a pool inspection as well. I find that what people really do with the pool is you can get a copy of the utility bills from the utility provider, and many people tell me that they just look to see if there's a spike in utility costs for the water, whether more water usage or water that has to go out. And so they can tell without having to get a leak detection if there's an issue with a crack in the pool. Now, some people do hire a leak detection to go out there. I would recommend that you absolutely have a pool cleaning company come out there. Yes, you want to be aware of if there's any cracks or leaks, but you also want to know about the equipment. Your home inspector usually is not going to have knowledge on that information. And let me just double check if there are any questions in here so far. Nope. Good. If you do have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments. Or if you want to call me afterwards, you're more than welcome to, because I know that not everybody wants to have the whole world see what their questions are on here. So, um, so pools, I would absolutely have a pool company come out there and look at the equipment of the pool and make sure it's all in working order. If they already have a pool company that's taking care of the pool, then the great thing is that you can give them a call and that they should tell you what's going on. Um, there are some things that are required if you're going to get either an FHA loan or a VA loan. And that is going to be a wood destroying organism. We call it WDO for short, but it's wood destroying organism. And many people say, well, what is that? Very good question. What that is it used to be called a termite inspection report, but we found out that there were more things that destroyed your home other than just termites, like powder post beetles and also just generally wood rot and decay. So you will have a specific person. Sometimes your home inspector is also licensed to be able to do the wood destroying organism report. But if not, then you'll have a separate company that comes out and does the wood destroying organism report. Now it's going to tell you if there are any termites, any other kind of infestation, any powder post beetles, or you could just have a lot of dry rot. It rains almost every day in the summer in Florida. It doesn't really get a chance to dry out. And if you've got a wood home or a frame home, it can just cause just wood decay there. And so VA and FHA definitely want to have what we call a clean wood destroying organism report, meaning that it doesn't mean that you may have an infestation. It just means you may have wood rot that needs to be taken care of. And so they will require that inspection report, but it's not a home inspection. It's specific to the wood destroying organism. Now, another thing that VA and FHA are going to require is if you have a well, like a drinking well on the property, then they're going to require that there is an inspection done of the well. Well, not an inspection. I take it back. It's going to be a water test. So a water test will need to be done of the well to make sure that it's that there's no contamination in there. I think in every single well that we've ever had tested, it had to be shocked that there was just an elevation in there, which is normal, and you just need to shock the well. And so that had to be taken care of, and then you got to go out and retest. So if you know there's a well on the property that is going to be your drinking water, then you want to go ahead and get that test done early because it takes a little while for that test to be done. If they have to treat the water, then you have to go through the treatment process and then you have to go back out and have it retested. This can delay your closing if you do not get this done in time. So if you got well, go ahead and get that tested well ahead of time. I was about to say it well ahead of time, and that's not that funny. Um, so the inspection reports are specifically for you. Now, let's see here. What happens if you choose to not have an inspection report? That is on you. If you move into the house after closing and you find that there is an issue with the property, there really is no recourse for you unless they lied on the seller disclosure. But if they said, I don't know, because there are many people who have properties, they literally do not know what's going on with the property. They might have inherited it, or someone else took care of it and they were not into the day to day. So if they said, I don't know, remember I said it's the buyer's responsibility to make sure that they know what is going on with the property. And then you move in and you find out, you know what? There's raccoons in the attic. Maybe the seller hasn't lived there for 3 years and the house has been vacant because it's been in probate the entire time. And then suddenly you move in and you're screaming and yelling that, wait a second, there's raccoons in the attic and they peed and pooped everywhere. And it's like a hazmat nightmare now. You get to own that. It's 100% yours. So The only time you're going to have recourse against the seller is if they lied, or knew something and didn't disclose. So let's talk about that for a second. The state of Florida requires that sellers disclose anything that would be of material value that would affect the value of the home. So let's say there's a tree limb that fell through the roof, and they need to let you know about that. Even if they patched it, even if they fixed it, they still need to let you know that, yeah, we had a roof issue 6 months ago. Tree fell through it, but you know what? No problem. Insurance took care of it. Here's the paid receipts. Everything was taken care of. And so you can just make a decision going forward, or you could decide to have further inspection in that area so that you can be comfortable. But if the seller doesn't disclose that, and then you find out later on that yes, that happened, but they didn't take care of the insulation inside, and then now you have an issue. That is where we see lawsuits happen, is because buyers are saying the seller didn't disclose it. The seller is saying, well, the buyer should have done their inspection. That's completely on them. Yes and no. If the seller knows something, they have to tell you. But if they don't know something, this is why it's on the buyer to get their inspection reports done. It's not worth the savings of trying to save a few $100s. And let's say you've got a big house and maybe it's going to be 700 or $800. Maybe you've got a monstrous house and it might be 1500. It's just not worth trying to save some money and not get the inspection report done. And I will tell you, every inspection report comes up with issues. There is never, and I mean never, a perfect house. Every house has a problem. Older homes are going to have more problems. And even brand new homes, they have problems as well. In brand new homes, no one has lived in it. The house was completely put together, but nobody's cooked a meal in there. Nobody has run the burners. And even the guy who's installing it probably isn't turning it on. Like they're like, okay, electricity's on. Yep, it turned on, but they're not running everything. When they install the dishwasher, they're not doing a full load of dishes. So this is where having that inspection is really important, is because they're going to find out, you know what, 3 of the 4 burners work. Or yes, the range turns on, but it doesn't get up to the right temperature. So even in new construction is where you absolutely want to have an inspection as well. Now, many of the items that come up on an inspection report, you're going to be able to live with. It may be that one GFI or one outlet in a room isn't working. It's usually something simple where, okay, you just need to have somebody come out, or if you're very handy, you can just reconnect the wires there. But if it seems to be bigger than that, then at least you have the option to know, you know what, I need to get an electrician to come in and see if we have a bigger issue, especially if this is an older home. So don't be alarmed if you get a lot of things on an inspection report. Many times they're nitpicky things. In a recent sale that I had representing the seller, they were nitpicky things like the door in the closet. No, I'm sorry, the door in the hallway, the closet door in the hallway didn't close, as like when you went to close it, it didn't close. You kind of had to lift it just a little bit and then it would latch. And so that came up on the inspection report. Very minor detail, very quick fix. Nobody cared about it. Another thing that came in there was the door in the screen porch area, because it was caged. It closed very slowly. It wasn't a default, but they were just like, just in case you want to know, in case you've got pets or you've got children, the door does close. It just closes slowly. So things will come up. Don't be alarmed. You're looking for the big ticket items. You're looking for the deal breakers, like the raccoons in the attic. And why do I keep bringing that up? Because we just had a closing in which the buyers found out that there were raccoons in the attic, and they did not need to do an inspection. They were cash. They wanted to close inside of 15 days. So they were very like, let's get this thing done. And I said, we need to do an inspection. I don't care how perfect the house looks, there's always problems. And so they did get the inspection. And that is where we found the family of raccoons in the attic. And let me tell you how much it costs to take care of removing the raccoons. But because they peed and pooped everywhere, all the insulation had to be pulled out. The attic needed to be sterilized. You need to re-insulate the attic, and then they also had to close up the hole where the raccoons were coming from. The bill was $10,000. Had they not done this, they would have just had a family of raccoons living with them. But because we knew how much it was going to cost, we were able to go to the seller and say, this is something that you're going to have to fix no matter what. Like, to ever sell this house, you're going to have to fix the raccoon situation, or you're going to have to lower the price for someone else to fix your raccoon situation. So, one way or another, you're going to have to deal with this. So, let's deal with the buyer that we've already got. They're willing to go forward. They just need some assistance out of that $10,000 bill to help take care of the issue. Now, sometimes on the inspection, you will get something that you already know is a problem. Let's say the roof is old and they know that the roof needs to be replaced, and they've already discounted the house. Like, every house in there sells for $350,000, but this house is priced at $325,000 because it needs a roof. So you get your report and it says, hey, you need a roof. And you're like, oh, I need to go back to the seller because they need to give me some money. The seller is probably going to tell you, no, we already priced it because it needed the roof. But maybe they didn't know it needed a roof. Maybe the roof was better than they thought. And now you're able to use that in your negotiation of deciding, all right, well, they're not going to discount the price, and a roof costs $25,000. And I could go down the street and buy another house that has a new roof for the exact same price. Maybe you don't want to buy this house. But if you find something else in there that's a deal breaker, like you're like, absolutely not, at least you got the information to make a decision. I was looking to purchase a house once. Everything looked fine in the house. I still, of course, got an inspection, and we found out in the house when they did an addition, they didn't wire properly for the addition. And on top of that, the wiring was old, very, very old. And so, not an issue that doesn't scare me. What scared me was the bill. When I talked to an electrician about having to redo the wires in the house and wire everything correctly, the bill was $25,000. And the seller was willing to take some money off the house, but that meant I have to have cash in addition to all the cash I needed for the closing to pay for this $25,000 bill, or the insurance company was not going to insure me because of the wiring issue. So we, at that point, were able to make the decision to go ahead and cancel the contract and look for a different property. And that's what we did. So while they are not required, I cannot stress enough to please get an inspection. And the more things that you have in the house, like a septic, the well, uh, pool pump, get inspections for those also. And then if you want to do the radon and you want to do the lead-based paint, you should be able to do those also. Uh, and the termite, of course, yes, the termite. And so let's now talk about okay. All right. That's a good question. What do you do if you are out of state and you're going to do the inspections? So your agent can attend the inspection. You don't have to be there. If you want to be there, of course, you can absolutely be at the inspection. You've got every right to be at the inspection. Many of the people that I work with don't want to be at the inspection because the inspector is very busy doing their job. They don't really have the time to have someone right behind them answering every single question. It's going to go into a report. Many inspectors now do video and photos. So they'll take photos of everything that they're looking at. And when you have something like a running water, or maybe the burners or the gas on the range working, they will take video of that so you can actually see that it is working. I see that happen with dishwashers a lot of time. You will hear it running, and then they'll open it and you can see that the dishwasher was running. So the home inspector will have a detailed report for you, as well as documentation. And they will also, many times, will just talk to you when it's done. When they send you the report, they'll let you know, hey, I'm going to be available until this time tonight if you want to give me a call, and they will go over the report with you. So it will be great if you're not here to have someone that is going to spend the time with the report, going over it with you and just making sure you're comfortable. But do remember, they're not going to be able to give you pricing. They're not going to be able to tell you what a roof is going to cost, or what a water heater is going to cost. But they will be able to tell you the things that come up in the house. And many times they'll say, if you would like to do further investigation, you should seek a specialist. So if you need to get a new roof, you would have some roofers come out there and give you a quote. So that brings me back to, when you decide to get your inspections, get them as soon as possible. If you go under contract, try to have the inspection scheduled in the next day or two. That way, if you find out something that comes up on the inspection report, you will be able to go ahead and arrange for other vendors or second or third opinions to come out there and look at whatever came up so that you can get pricing for it. We had a situation where there was a house that had some plumbing issues, and the first plumbing quote was crazy, absolutely crazy. And so they were able to get two more plumbers out there and basically get three opinions, see where they all lined up to be the same, saw where they were different, so they could make a decision on moving forward, which is what they decided to do, but also what they were going to spend and how much time it was going to take. So schedule your inspections as early as possible so you can get additional inspections as needed. So that was a good question. Thank you for asking that. And then the next thing is that surveys. So, yes, surveys. Do you need a survey? Well, it depends. If you're paying cash, you're not required to get a survey. I recommend you do. Again, it's one of those things. Don't go cheap at this point. Know where your property lines are, and you can say, yes, I know exactly what I'm going to get, especially if it's vacant land and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get this much land, and you're planning to put your house back here, but then you find out that the land actually ends there. This would be really, really important to know. So you do not need to get one if you're paying cash. I highly recommend you still get one. Um, if you are getting a loan, to be able to issue the title insurance that the mortgage lender is going to require, you are going to need to have a survey. Many times you'll be able to use an existing survey as long as nothing like the fence wasn't put on after the survey was done. Because if it was, you'll have to get a new survey. Or if the survey is really, really old, you're going to probably need to get a new survey. It will be the title office that's going to make that decision because they're the ones that have to issue the insurance. So you'll want to contact the title office and find out, can we use this older survey, or am I going to be required to get a new survey for you to issue the title insurance, which my lender requires. So a lot of people think that the lender is requiring the survey. They're not actually requiring the survey, but they are requiring the insurance. And you can't get the insurance without the survey being ordered by the title office. And ordered. So, sorry about that. I should not have said ordered. Who orders the survey? I recommend that the buyer order the survey. There are many different companies out there. There are many different prices. And so I recommend that the buyer order the survey. Now, the title offices, some of them will order the survey for you. Hey, Amy. Some of them will order the survey for you. It's it's not technically their job, but they may do it as a courtesy. The problem is if you, the buyer, are not taking care of the survey, you thought that the title office was doing it, and the title office said that they would, but they forgot, then it doesn't matter who forgot because you may not be able to close on time because now you have to order a survey. Now, some surveys can be done fairly quickly, but we have busy times of the year and they might be backed up 4 or 6 weeks, which is definitely going to delay your closing. So that's one of the things that I would put on there very quickly is getting the survey ordered also as early as possible to make sure that you don't have any delays, and especially if they're going to be very busy. Let's do that. And so you will pay for the survey, you will order the survey, and that does bring me back to the inspections. Who orders the inspections? Some of you may have a buyer's agent out there that is really wonderful and that they will order those inspections for you. That's not me. So if you're looking for somebody who's going to order your inspections for you, you definitely do not want to hire me. And let me tell you why. There is so much liability. I have a list of inspectors, and I like them all. They do a good job, but it doesn't mean that their personality is a good fit for you. So if I hire an inspector, this is what's happened in the past. Somebody goes, "Oh my gosh, they were so rude. I cannot stand them. I cannot believe you did this." Other times they're like, "Oh, I had somebody who would have done it for less." maybe their availability is not in line with your schedule, and you could have found somebody who would have done it on a date and time that you could be there. So you organize it, because at the end of the day, it's your report. And I'll tell you honestly, liability is another reason, is because if I order the inspection for you and something goes wrong, the first thing you're going to want to do is sue me, because it was my guy or girl that did the inspection. And therefore, I should be 100% responsible for everything they've done. And that is just not true. So you want to order your own inspection. There are also things that when you're talking to the inspector, setting this up, that they may talk to you about, that you might want to get additional inspections, and their fees for it may be in line or out of line with what you are looking to spend. And for example, that would be like a 4-point inspection or a wind mitigation inspection. And those would be for insurances. They're already looking at these things when they're in there, but the insurance companies require it on a separate report to give you insurance at a discount or any kind of incentives that you might have. So your agent will probably give you a list of vendors, hopefully a list of vendors that you can choose from. Does not mean you have to use anybody on that list. Absolutely not. You can select anybody that you want to do your inspection. You're not required to use whoever the agent is recommending. And that is why I think it is absolutely best that you select the person that you are most comfortable with, talk to them, vet them out, find out what their fees are and their availability, because you're paying for it, and make sure that you're comfortable with the communication and the information that you're going to get. And the only person who's going to know that is you. And I know that many people say, well, I'm so busy, just get whoever you want. Well, in that 10 seconds that you just said that, and you're going to live with whatever happens later, it's not worth it. Spend the few minutes, take the time out of your day, vet the people that you are hiring to do the job, just like hopefully you vet me, and then make sure they're doing the right job for you and you're going to be satisfied. So that was a good question in there. All right, do I have any other questions so far? Okay, I don't have any other questions. I think this might be the fastest video that I've got. So if you guys want to join me, I do these every Wednesday at 3 p.m. And so I'd love to have you join me. If you want to have topics specific to what you're looking for, send me a message, DM me, drop it in the comments, and then let me know what specifically is interesting to you as far as moving to Florida, buying a home in Florida, anything about real estate in Florida, I would be happy to answer for you. So thank you for your support, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.